Hello, I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic regards vouchers, qualifying for receiving funding for choice school selection. I recognize the dynamics between what may seem to be in governmental alignment regarding governmental funding may be of a divarication of what already is. As many may recognize, when one has seemingly more choice of what to do with one's finances, when one has more options, when one qualifies for more funding from government on the basis of what may be in the funnel financially supporting the funding. So there is a great benefit in recognizing that one may address funding dynamics through government in a way which proves equitable and affordable and valuable. What may seem to be of a different dynamic in connection with choice when assessing results may be apparent as in alignment with what already is. So choice may allow for one to use finances differently, though not necessarily guarantee what may prove to be more valuable with regard to educational quality or growth of an individual, which may be most appropriate for the individual's well-being. When considering decision-making with regard to learning, I think really addressing what one is bringing to factor in is important. Might one be seeking to enroll in an educational environment for a particular reason that may not fully recognize the individual that may be going to sit in the seat, going to the educational environment? There are ways to address what may be necessary for individual growth, as well as what may be necessary if, for example, family may be relocating, so may have to consider certain dynamics at a rate that may be quicker than not initially in mind. Whereas normally thinking ahead and good communication happens so as to better regard what may be beneficial for an individual's need, especially when one may be observing landscapes of education. So I think choice may prove valuable for individuals through many different financial senses, though addressing the core of results processes from growing with a particular educational environment, going to an educational environment to engage with a particular learning atmosphere. These core areas need appropriate addressing in ways that may not necessarily align with funding. So, being aware of what might be happening in different educational environments may prove valuable to addressing whether an individual wants to seek enrollment in a particular educational environment. So the dynamics that are important vary beyond finances. And I think that's just really important to address, as more options might seem more available, as one may be considering elements of an educational environment beyond finances that may be valuable. So one may make decisions that align with current intentions that connect with long-term intentions, and perhaps short-term intentions that may fulfill a learning experience that may benefit a different intention. So the individual will be able to engage well-rounding learning and appreciating life personally, with the understanding that there are dynamics of mutual respect and broader awareness that are valuable for one's well-being, growth, long-term, not just in a way that may be of blind awareness in areas that an individual may need sight, may need to have light on to communicate about well. So there will be more joyful progressions than not. I think the decision-making process for an educational environment may prove to be very communal and may have layers of community which need addressing with regard to how the inputs of the layers might mean. All right. Our next topic is about sleep. How might an educator receive more sleep? What are the dynamics that an educator might be experiencing that affects sleep? Not just sleep in general, though good sleep, because good quality sleep is extremely important for one's well-being. Now, the article mentions a very important area of research regarding school start times. How school start times may be in better alignment with adolescents in development, and how, when regarding one's schedule, one may find different capacities of flexibility that may prove valuable to integrate in sound direction. With regard to work in general, being in an environment in general that may have a schedule, I think being able to comprehend the dynamics of flexibility with time may prove extremely valuable. When an individual needs to wake up at a certain time, ideally setting oneself up, coordinating one's life to be able to go to sleep at a particular time is extremely important. Now, there are instances where an educator may be extremely active with an educational environment. So, if an educator has an after-school activity on top of other responsibilities that brings one's schedule, even if pay may increase, that brings one's schedule from 7 to 6, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., then one must acknowledge what makes sense for one's life, one's work-life balance, especially if an extracurricular activity is not necessary. If an educational environment has a requirement for an educator to partake in an extracurricular activity, then addressing how one might be able to navigate these dynamics is not only on the part of the educator, though the educational environment needs to adhere to what makes sense for work-life balance if there are requirements that may extend beyond one's primary role, which equates across a national standard. So if every school is not requiring educators to partake of an extracurricular activity, then any educational environment requiring an educator to partake of an extracurricular activity needs to be well compensating and setting parameters that will justify such a requirement. The dynamics of work-life balance are extremely important. One's life is more valuable than one's job. If one is not alive, one will not be able to work. That is a clear enough justification. So, with the reality of how one's well-being may be, with regard to how one is operating one's life, individuals need to well adhere to well-being personally, as well as address factors that are clearly in connection with the work environment. So if an educator is waking up at 6:30, the commute is clearly within the bounds of an hour and 30 minutes, whatever the time may be. This is an objective way to address what may be in connection with the work environment. Now, an extracurricular activity offers a time frame in connection with an educational environment, an objective time frame. These objective parameters are not complex to set together. Now, an educational environment may well address the dynamics that are necessary as well as not necessary. What may be apparently necessary in one year may not be a factor a following year. And why are these transitions so may vary by reason, though consistency is extremely valuable. So there are dynamics of learning that are valuable. How to address these dynamics will vary from educational environment to educational environment. And classroom environment particularly is extremely important. So there are many dynamics to consider when one is considering what might be affecting an educator's decision making with regard to work, work-life balance, well-being. Now, if every educator is receiving the same benefits, the same pay across the nation, across the globe, then one may readily acknowledge that a lot of what may be happening that may be in connection with an educator's sleep may be of personal dynamics. There are ways to address systemic situations that allow for better work environments. All right. It's time for some origami. Today, I have a square origami sheet. I'm going to fold it point to point one way, then point to point another way, and I'm going to open it from here. I'm going to multi-fold. So fold the top point to the long edge, then fold it back up. Then I'm going to fold this top point to that line, then fold it back up. Next, just gonna fold the bottom part up to this top part, and we're gonna fold it so, okay? Next, we're gonna take this point and take the right or left point and just go to the opposite side of this triangle, this small triangle that's overlapping, okay? Now, we're going to overlap that triangle again with the opposite side. All right. Next, we're here. We're going to actually fold up. So we're going to fold up so that the edge meets that center point of the arrow. And now, after we do this, we're going to turn this around this way. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fold in. So we're going to fold in the bottom portion. We're going to fold it up. Okay. Just going to fold it up to make a center line. As you can see, there's this natural curvature happening, right? So we're gonna fold it up to make a center line. So now we're gonna have this line here, okay? And now I'm actually gonna look at these instructions to get these intricate folds down really, really well. And you can find these instructions in the summary of the video. So from this point here, as you can see, we're on, again, the side that has no down arrow. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fold in at the point. I'm just gonna make a little bit of a triangle here. It's not gonna be a crazy triangle, just a little bit of a triangle here. If we can get it. Actually, just bring up that fold here, and we're there. Okay, and we're gonna bring up that fold here, and we'll be here. Voila. Okay, so bring that up there. Next, we're gonna open it. We're still on the same side, and we're just gonna fold down. So we're gonna fold the center down about halfway. As you can see, there's a formation there that's very clear. So we're just gonna fold it down about halfway there. And what we're gonna do next is we're going to fold in from this angle. We're gonna fold in where our fold is. So we have this down, and we're just gonna fold it again. But these inner angles here, so it kind of folds already in. So we don't really have to do too much folding in because of that. So here we go. Next, what we're gonna do is, after we're here, we're gonna open up our fold. And this is the area that, looking at the instructions, I'm assessing. So we have our proper fold here. We're just gonna bring it in. It's very simple, actually. It's not so complex. We're just gonna bring it in, and we can see these corner folds happening. Very, very simple, actually. So if you end up folding the inside, which is basically looking at 3 different folds, if you end up folding it through that one fold, as you see happens here, that's fine. Then you'll just be able to move on into this next dynamic. Okay? And this next dynamic involves, we're going to be looking at it. We're looking at it coming from this perspective now. Okay? So we're looking at it from this perspective. We're going to fold in. Look, here we go. Just a little bit more like that. We're going to fold in just as so. Okay? I'm just going to fold in the flaps from here. Okay. So we'll have somewhat like this happening here. And what we'll do from here is actually we'll fold in from there. We'll fold it in. So we'll have these coming in. And so we'll have them actually coming in from here. Okay? So we'll have this portion. Then we'll fold this portion over. Here. Okay. So we're here. So then I'm actually really folding ahead. So we'll have this portion here. Yeah, so we're here. Then we're gonna fold it back. So you might find yourself folding ahead in some of these, and we'll fold it back here with just one fold. You might find yourself in the next fold over, which is fine. Okay. So if you're following the instructions, look at your fold. If it looks like good direction, though it doesn't seem exactly there, just recheck the later folds. So from here now, we're going to open up the folds, and as you can see clearly here, we have our bat. We have our bat formation. And so the thing is to really have the folding, this folding here. I'll add a different fold here. You can just kind of add this inner fold, and then if you have that inner fold here, it just adds more body to the bat. And so you can get intricate, of course, it is origami. And then you can have your bat here. You can have it here, and there's this element where you can, if you do this, you elevate this portion. See, mine is right here, but even so, there's an element of the design that allow you to have the wings somewhat flat. Again, you can also just have that intricate design here and just appreciate your creation. And that's what I'm going to do with mine. So here you have this wonderful design, and of course, let's see how it looks. All right. So, origami has benefits, long-term health benefits, and these benefits connect with spatial development. So, being creative in such a regard may prove valuable. However your design comes out, always remember origami is a creative endeavor. So, have the resources available to complete your own, though keep your flavor in the mix. I champion reading physical books. When an individual reads a physical book, there are a lot of health benefits. So, as one's brain physically changes from reading a physical book, one may acknowledge what wonderfully is happening. The text today is the 4-hour Workweek. What a read. The idea is not to shun the 9 to 5, an 8 to 4, however one observes a 40-hour more week. The idea is not to shun working full time. The idea is to create one's own life, design one's own life. So the text is really addressing how one may catapult from one's work to operate in a way that may be in tune with one's desirable life, with what one desires for one's life. And the text is addressing how one may use one's resources to catapult toward a more independent direction. Though it's not necessarily just independence, again, just toward the life that one is designing. The idea is to be intentional with one's life. The text is bringing about a lot of factors that one may address that may assist one with creating one's business and navigating, creating ideas in a way that may be financially suitable, in ways that may be easy for one to address, that may be in alignment with what one wants to do, and these ways may prove lucrative. So the boundaries of the text may be somewhat comical, especially since a lot of dynamics are operating somewhat memoir-like in relation to the author's journey through employment and beyond employment. It's a real journey that is to highlight the importance of continuing to observe how one wants to design one's life and to address what resources are available to be resourceful in a way that may be different than one might be aware of, though may prove beneficial for one's growth. There are so many wonderful points the text brings to light that I think one may acknowledge well, so that one keeps an aware, broader, open mind to the world at large, and may find the wonderful possibilities of the world are present, even if requiring effort, good effort, are present for one to not only observe, though embrace in ways that may enrich one's life. And the text is realistically operating like a motivational text as well, because there are dynamics of employment that seem very unstable, though the text addresses there are avenues that are worth pursuing, that the world is not necessarily going to always be stable. There's always change. And how one decides to change, how one decides to design one's life is ultimately up to one's decision making, up to one's will, up to one's application of one's energies. And the text is really addressing how the external factors, they may be present, though how one navigates external factors beyond oneself is really core to how one designs life and how one's life may prove to be. So thank you for joining. I don't know, we can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.